Welcome to the HVAC Jerks with your hosts, Rich, Kevin, and Joe. You can email these guys at theboys@thehvacjerks.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC Jerks. I'm glad you joined us today in our studio here with us.
Could cook a stromboli for days.
My name is Rich. That's Kevin.
Hello.
And Anonymous Joe is here, like always. And what?
As always.
As always.
Joe.
So we checked with the council again. This time was
and this week,
Council of Kindergarten Kids.
We had a united forum of youngsters.
They were at the petting zoo.
yeah,
Actually,
they got paid a box of Twinkies and a half a moccasin.
They were at the petting zoo feeding the goats, and I rounded them all up, and I said, "Hey, what should we call Anonymous Joe this week?" And what they said was,
"Si, senor."
These little kids, they said, "Call that guy Big Balls Billy."
That was the anonymous
That's her name
vote.
this week. That's what I don't know how they came up. It must have been the mothers that said that, because somehow it came across that
Cojones
your name
Joe.
this week is Big Balls Billy.
I like Cojones Joe better.
This is the case they get on the floor.
So,
You can clean
all
it
right,
up.
Big Balls Billy. This week's topic is going to be, just like the board says, although that's not exactly my words. We said, why do you buy from whoever it is you buy from? And this can apply to consumers. Why do they buy from the contractor they buy from, or service provider? Or why do you guys buy from the supply house you buy from? Or why do you buy from the manufacturer?
So are we going to start with this as a consumer first? Why do we buy from where we buy as a consumer? Or is this
more
for a
importantly than
contractor?
any of that crap is to start with the Twizzlers. I have Twizzlers this week, and you're welcome to some, because this will make John crazy, because we'll be chewing in the microphone.
He's going to smell it in the ductwork.
Yep.
Is there a return in here? Because I have my shoes off still.
Yeah, he's probably dead out there from that. That's why.
Well, there is Jameson. You can always cover it.
All right, so you were asking if we're going to start with the consumers or
Are you really making all this noise?
yeah, I'm going to make all kinds of noise, make John crazy.
Yeah, we're so professional.
It's going to cost us twice as much as this one this week.
Oh,
have
can we
a
get
pickle
Twizzlers
hat,
as a sponsor?
Windex.
I'll
We
eat
have
them
a
every
pickle
show.
hat, Windex, and Klein cup in the front. So that's good sponsorship.
All right, so much for the Windex. All right, so why do you buy from who you do? So we can go from
Who do I do?
consumer's point of view, or
Let's start with the consumer. Like what is it, like down to the basic, this is who most of our advertisers today
why are they going to
appeal
buy from you instead of ABC?
Well, what makes you the service provider so much better than everybody else?
It's across the board. I mean, I think this goes back a couple of weeks when we were talking with Pam, like what is going to set you aside, right? You have to target your audience. So as a company, and especially our bigger outfits that are out there, they spend enormous amount of money into research groups and think tanks, and how do we get to the people? It's not about Super Bowl ads necessarily, but that's a thing, but it's not the thing. Like, that's not going to make you buy more soda. That's not going to make you buy more cars. It's it sets you aside maybe because of prestige and the value to that associated. But what is your daily, everyday? What brings you to the mall? What brings you to a car lot? What is it you're looking for? Do you want something because it's blue?
To the
Do you
mall?
want something that's
to
shiny?
pay my wife's credit card.
Yeah. Well, you don't pay it at the mall. You add to it.
Why do people buy from you? I mean, this is almost one of your taglines for you personally.
I'm just trying to bring down the basics. Like, we're exposed to Twizzlers every day, and we have to eat them.
Right.
So if you're exposed to it every day, you have to do something about it, right? So we're intrigued and almost pushed subconsciously.
So you're talking about from an advertising point of view.
Absolutely. Like, we're constantly being fed, like, you need to go do this. You need
I think
to go
the
do
word
this
is
now.
bombarded.
It is bombarding. We don't feel it, though. It doesn't feel like that. There's rules and regulation that stops us from being completely bombarded, but we're exposed to advertising constantly.
All right,
Sometimes you're immune to it, though. I mean, after a while, you just don't want to see it.
All right, so forget about the consumer point of view, because that can go on advertising spurs forever. Let's go down to a
what are the main
granular.
topics that entice you to want to go to Sam's or to BJ's or to, whatever? Like, what makes you want to go to this place over the next place?
A lot of it could be...
Is it their political stance? Is it their
A lot of it could be just an impulse buy. A lot of it could be you saw something on a billboard, heard something on a radio, and you go and make that purchase. That's also an advertising thing. Impulse buying is a tremendous part of the cycle of the United States or the world.
I'm not seeing that in HVAC.
However, if you're taking this subject, as we will, towards how do contractors buy from their own supply houses, what is it that they look for? We did cover a lot of this in episode 13 and Supply House Blues, and we want to retouch on this again because we got a lot of feedback from this, positive, negative, but something that supply houses need to learn from is what their customers really want and what they get out of that visit each and every time. You, who definitely deal with supply houses on a daily basis more than I do, even though I visit them as a manufacturer, I don't get the one-on-one with the contractor, like you being the person buying.
Is there something you want to talk about?
No, not at all. It's what you as a business owner makes you go back to that same place over and over.
Suddenly I feel like I'm in therapy. I don't know.
It's all psychology. You want to talk about something? So for me, what makes me go back is I think we just talked about this, is integrity on their part, owning their position and what their services that they claim to provide and that they live up to those services. Are you going to deliver on time? Are you going to deliver to my location? Are my orders accurate? Is there support? If I need help on a product line, I have a situation that I need to lean on them to help me get more attention so I can get something resolved. That's important.
Those are all business reasons,
right?
Right. That's why I buy from the supplier that I'm going to buy from, and so I want to be able to have somebody on the other end of the phone when I make a phone call.
That is the question, right?
That's what Joe. Right.
Absolutely.
So for me, those are major topics. So when
those are things that directly affect your business.
Absolutely, and that's why we're dealing with wholesalers, because wholesalers are not necessarily selling. They're not selling to the public per se. So that would go back to the mall situation.
Whether it's the customer, whether it's a consumer buying from you as a service provider, or a contractor buying from a supply house, or any, you can make any.
So I'll give you the difference between the two.
The same.
I'll give you the difference between
things that I just said apply to my customers.
Okay, the difference between going to the mall and buying from a specific store is that's a random stop. You're not going there every single day. You're concentrated in going to your supply house on a daily basis. It's
a necessity for the business to survive.
It's the core of your business. So it's definitely a different dynamic from just going shopping for a pleasure. Product as opposed to...
I think at the end of the day, a consumer is a consumer is a consumer. Look, they all want the same end result.
There's a few simple things that a supply house has to understand. One is, if they take the approach that they are part of your business and their interest is to look out for you as much as you look out for yourself.
Our success is their success.
Exactly. Their sales are going to go exponential, because I used to say... when I used to work for that other company, and when I was down in the first year down in training with the vice president, who no longer is there, he goes, what do you want your customer to know about you as a salesperson? And nobody really raised their hands up, and I says, I want to be known as an unpaid employee in their business. I want to be the guy whose work that they understand is working directly for them, and they don't have to pay me to do it. They just got to buy from me.
Yeah.
So what's the difference as a whole building? Not being part there, that's your asset. You're making whoever your customer is, or however many you have, should be an extension of your own business. Because if you want your supply house to be successful, you should want your customers to be successful. So you have to incorporate that level of intensity and that level of commitment to your customer, and not just to your corporate, right? At the end of the day, we have to sell.
I think absolutely. I think there's three major segments, and I think you guys hit the first two. I mean, Kevin, you're talking about things that directly affect your business. Is my delivery going to be accurate? Is it going to be there on time? Big Balls Billy you're talking about.
Well, I mean, Kevin and I are the perfect example. He had nothing to do with a salesman until I showed him I was going to be a part of his business.
Right.
So I wasn't just there bringing a flyer on what's on sale this week. I was there to look after his interest, even though I had no decision making, but I try to make him understand that I got you. I'm covering you. Whatever you need, I'll deliver for you. I'll do what I need to do to make sure you're successful and your transaction goes smooth so your business can run the way it should.
Do you agree with that?
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
But that's the key to success.
So you didn't see the value of a salesman in the beginning?
No, absolutely not, because he was being visited by guys bringing a flyer.
Yeah. Joe's a rare breed.
No, but it's not really rare, because in my company, we have a lot of guys doing the same thing. If you illustrate to your customers, your end user...
You found a good place to be right now, and where you were before, there wasn't that good of a selection.
I still, even though there were the complications there were, I enjoyed a level of success that a lot of people didn't see because of my own commitment, because I wouldn't take no for an answer.
That's you as an individual.
Right, but that I incorporated my company with that because
not everybody is you.
No, I get it. I get it, but
everybody else has real names.
Yes, but at the end of the day, we're addressing a problem. And so this, if I can communicate to those people who are listening or contractors, this is what they should be looking for. This is something that they need to say and demand as somebody who's going in and spending a buttload of money every month in, month out to say, I need a level of treatment that nobody else gives me. And if you want my business, this is what it has to be.
I think the third point that I was going to make, which sort of ties into what you're talking about, is that a lot of reasons that people buy from wherever they buy has nothing to do with the actual part that solves their problem. It's not just, is the delivery going to be there on time, or is the salesman going to really be of value to me? I think a lot of times it's a comfort level.
I think don't misunderstand the salesman aspect. This should be employee-wide. It shouldn't be just limited to the salesperson.
But it's not.
What my thing is, this should be something expressly dictated to every member of that branch. And every person in that branch, from the guy who sweeps the floor to the guy who closes and opens the door every day as the boss, this should be the level of there shouldn't be anything lower than that.
You keep saying putting this on a supply house, but this goes to manufacturer, supply house, contractors.
Of course.
It's all of us together. So,
and the contractor has that responsibility to a homeowner.
What I was trying to say...
Not everybody shares that, though.
No.
What I'm trying to say is beyond those two factors, there's other factors that are difficult to quantify sometimes. It's things like, the personality of the guy. Sometimes you just don't like that personality, or you don't like the way they do something, or you don't like the smell of the building. You walk in there and you're offended by the way the place smells. You're not going to go back there regardless of many other things. So I think, there's all kinds of things that play into this. One of the things I kind of just realized, I don't know, I didn't realize, just realized it about myself, but that I try to admit to myself more, is that I'm a creature of habit. So when all my basic needs are taken care of, when I know that the price is going to be reasonably good and I'm going to get reasonably good service, I'm going to go back to the same place time and time again until something offends me or I don't like it. Then I'm going to change, and then I'll stay at that place for a long time. I don't like to change. I like to do the same thing.
Well, that's the thing. People don't like to change. Change is a very difficult thing for people to deal with.
Which is good and bad.
Yeah, it's very good, because some people will take a level of abuse because there's certain things about where they are. They'll overlook it. Right? And they'll say, I have to deal with it in order to get this.
As a salesman, you don't want to just go into the new guy and grab all his business right away, because then as soon as you walk out the door, the next guy in is going to steal all your business. I always enjoyed, when I was working as a salesman, to have to work a guy for a while and really convince him that I was worth changing to, because then I knew once I finally got him over 6 months from now, he wasn't going to be that quick to jump.
Yeah, but you have to understand something. If you're really good, and this applies to the supply house as well as a salesman, you're setting the bar so high that their expectations are going to be blown out of the water. So, not blown out of the water. They're going to say, they're going to have a level.
It's a failure.
Yeah, no, they're going to have a bar that the next person coming in, if they don't stack up, they're going somewhere else.
everybody's got to be on the same page with
right,
that, though.
but this comes from.
So you as a salesman, you're saying you take it personal and you brought your own.
Exactly.
You know, like you had enjoyment. You looked into this as that was your position, your disposition going into the situation. At the end of the day,
day,
but not everybody shares that disposition, and also not every company you work for is going to share that disposition.
But then you have to. But listen, he said something about the building smelling. He said something about personalities. These are all
both
things
of those
that
apply to you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But everything he just mentioned can be changed. That's not set in stone because the building stinks. Maybe you want to bring it up. You know, you guys got an ass smell in this building. You may want to kick out some Lysol.
But I mean, everybody laughs about that, but that stuff's true. People,
but if that's something that really bothers you, maybe the guy doesn't know it, is immune to it because he's sitting in it all day long. You know, like I know when I leave here, I have to burn all the nose hairs in my nose from Kevin having his socks off because otherwise I'm going to sleep with this in my nose tonight. But no, to make a serious point out of this, you need to, you know, sometimes inaction on our part causes the problem to grow bigger. Sometimes we don't say anything, causes the problem to go bigger. I think the fear of reprisal because you say something limits the things that we do say or bring to attention because then somebody's going to have, you're afraid you're going to have an axe to grind against me. And sometimes it's true. You know, it's a balancing act.
I think there's all kinds of factors that play into why you buy wherever you do, and I think you know, sometimes you put up with some inconvenience because one of those things is exceptional. You know, maybe it's the salesman is exceptional, so you put up with the crap at the counter, or you know the price is so good for that piece of equipment. You don't mind waiting an extra week to get it because the inventory is not there.
There's stores for everybody.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's Gucci.
Yeah.
And then there's Walmart.
Yep.
Right? And Walmart targets to a certain audience and they're killing it. And Gucci is killing it.
There's an ass for every seat.
That's right. So, and a seat for every ass.
That's the truth.
That makes my point more important, though, because we're all vying for that business.
Right. So not every, you know, so when it comes to HVAC and supply houses, you know, we're limited in how many supply houses that are actually out there, how many we have available to us, depending on where we are geographically, right? We have people that are in the middle of nowhere and have to drive 2 hours to go to one supply house.
They have no choice.
So they have no choice, right? So, you know, this is what you're buying, this is what you're going to get, this is what you're going to pay for. And if you don't like it, take a hike. So, you know, with that being said, the internet is changing that. Things are available through e-commerce and, you know, UPS and big companies like that with, you know, the ability to get packages to places that were never able to get there before.
Yeah, that's a huge problem for supply houses today.
Well, it puts them on their toes, you know, and it makes them, you know, think about what they're doing and makes them reevaluate their importance to the individual.
Good for the consumer.
Absolutely. And this is all part of growth and new technology and new ideas and, you know, just redeveloping where we are in the world. So you as a mom and pop shop or a small, you know, local supply house, you might want to reevaluate, you know, like where are we going to be in 5 or 10 years? Technology is moving pretty quick and people's mentality is moving just as fast. So
yeah, you know, it's like anything else. You go into these big box stores, you see more and more the registers being automated. There's self-serve guns now in most of the big stores. They're telling you that we don't need people anymore. So if you're a supply house and you're doing everything you did 5 years ago and you haven't changed anything, you're on your way out. Sooner or later, you're going to be an ineffective area, and the only way you're still going to be valuable if your supply house is knocking it out of the park with numbers.
I called the manager over the other day at the grocery store and asked for my employee discount. And she didn't have me on record, so I was a little upset about that. But you know, if I'm scanning my own stuff, I'm just saying.
I think both of you guys get into the category of, you know, somebody there. I think there's a lot of places that both of you buy from just because you know the person.
It's a comfort level.
Yeah,
it's a comfort level.
I think that's a big part.
Well, there's something to be said for personalities. And you know, like there's salesmen that you get along with. I didn't get along with Joe in the very beginning. I actually told Joe I didn't need him and didn't want him.
Yeah.
And to this day, he probably still doesn't like me.
He's still following me around.
Yeah, there you are.
You know, so I got Big Balls Billy over here, you know, standing behind me all the time, breathing heavy.
Could have gave me an Italian name.
But we tried that last time, and Rosetta was on vacation, so.
Big Balls Butch Kaloop or something, you know?
So
we'll try again.
So, it depends on where you are in the world as far as what you're doing with your business and how you are as a consumer, right? So we grow up in different economic situations. We grow up in different, parts of the world. So geographically, it has an effect on how you purchase things or what you're looking for and how to purchase things and where you purchase things. So there's so many dynamics to this. What we're saying is just really just going to scratch the surface and how and where. We live in an area, and let's keep this in mind that, again, geographically, we are very spoiled.
Yeah, we have a lot of
We
choice.
have 8, 9, 10 supply houses just in our area.
I think it's more than that.
Probably more than just within
that,
15
right?
miles. Yeah.
And not just, I'm talking about just companies. Never mind locations. We have one company that has multiple locations in our area.
Few of them.
3, 4, 5, right? So, within an hour's drive, we have 50 supply
it's a lot.
houses. It's insane amount of inventory that's available like that. And our customers know it. We know it, right? So we can get stuff very fast. You go into the middle of nowhere, and you guys know where you are. I'm not knocking it, but you guys are living in a place that's a little bit more rural,
They
off
don't
the
have to
beaten
work
path.
as hard because there's no choice.
Yeah, right. So, but the supply houses know they got it wrapped up, right? You're the only guy for an hour and a half, right?
Well, you're bringing up another good point. So even as many supply houses as there are, it's a great thing for us and a bad thing for them because, as you know, if the manager of the store doesn't know what his customer base really needs in his inventory, then if he doesn't have it, they're going somewhere. They're going somewhere else and get it. So he loses that sale.
Around here, yeah. But out there, no.
No, but I'm saying in the general area we are, where there's so many, you really have to have a guy in the store on his feet that he has to know what he has available for his customer.
Absolutely.
I think personality is a huge part of this. I think that's a big part of your business, your personal business, because you talk about it all the time that you don't need to advertise that much because you get so much repeat business.
I'm a pretty sexy guy. I just
That
had my
might have
feet up
something to do
here.
with it, too.
I just had my feet. I go into most jobs with my toes out.
Is that right? Yeah.
Open toe shoes are a big sale.
But you could leave the cheese home though.
Are you still wearing a Speedo?
No, that's special occasions. If I know they have a pool, I'll go for that.
We're going to have to put a picture of that up on the website.
Easy.
I got some good ones.
Special occasion. Very special.
All right, so what else? Well, so great service. I mean, we're talking about different parts of personality.
We're going to break it down. Service is key to any business, right? So we provide it as a company. We provide, so we expect. Look, if I'm going to be a successful business, which I think I am, and I feel that I am, and I go out of my way to make sure my customers are happy, you better damn well give me the same service that I'm giving out. I expect that back across the board. From my salesmen, from my counter guys, and if I'm not getting that, then I'm out. Like, I'm not spending my money here.
Right.
And I wouldn't blame my customer either if they were to move on and they weren't getting that same feeling.
Sometimes you can't, as a business, you can't provide the level of service that the customer is looking for, but you can there's still ways around that. Again, playing into your
but don't forget what good service buys you. It buys you an active referral.
Absolutely. But I mean, sometimes you just, the customer's got a broken down whatever, and you can't get there when they want you there. But there's ways around it. There's things you can do. There's things you can say. There's ways to treat them.
But if they're a customer of yours from the past and you tell them, look, I am willing to do everything I can, but unfortunately there's just no parameter for me to get you this.
Sometimes it's out of your control.
They understand, right?
Yeah.
But they would be. There's people who also just go through the phone book and just call.
But those aren't your regular customers. If you have great customers, which you do, they're coming back to you for, you see, if you're a smart businessman, you're not looking for that single sale. Nope. You're looking for that repeat business.
Longevity.
That's an active referral. They're going to refer you to their friends. That's everything.
It's so frustrating as a manager to deal with an employee like that just, they're only looking at what's happening right this second.
Immediately. It's stupid. It's stupid. You got to remember, this is a guy coming in all the time. Oh, he's going to come in no matter what. That's not true. That's not true. You keep treating him like this, he's going somewhere else. And most oftentimes they do.
They're my customers for life. I got this wrapped up. I'm going to retire early.
Yeah, no. And they think they can get away with a lot of stuff that they do.
And it puts you in the wrong mindset, and it's not good to have.
But I think what's going on is that contractors as a whole going into, or service providers as a whole going into supply houses, need to bring these issues up with the managers of the stores and then keep them accountable for their course of action.
Right.
Say, I need to know that you're going to take this serious and you're going to do something about it, and I want to see something addressed.
Okay.
If you value my business.
But managers fall into the same categories as every other employee. Sometimes they get jaded. Sometimes they're so comfortable.
But
in their
that's
position.
fine. That's the risk they take.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're bringing up a point, if you're bringing up an issue and it's not addressed, you're telling that customer don't come back.
Who's that? Who's vibrating?
That's you.
That's not me.
What I'm saying is, if you're not addressing the concerns of your customer, whether they're buying $50 a month or $50,000 a month, everybody should be equally important. Granted, you're going to treat your guys who do a lot of business well, but sometimes I've often seen, because a customer does so much, it's taken for granted. That's
very true.
It's an expectation where that's not good. It's something where you're begging somebody to come in and steal you or steal your customer from you.
Let's talk about field support. From a contractor's point of view or a service provider's point of view.
Is that a girdle issue or jockstrap?
I always like to have my tightened up, you know what I mean?
If you need to get tightened up, that's fine with me.
Straightens my back out, straightens my posture, gives me a better, I make better eye contact when I have my tightened up.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
But there's times that I know of that you've had a piece of equipment that you have been at least partially loyal to, and you've had problems, and the field support just killed.
Failed.
Yeah, failed miserably.
I'm not going to talk names because it would be bad for business, but I really like to say it.
Don't say it.
No, don't do it. Don't do it, because then I have to scream pineapple.
But tell a part of the story.
I want to hear Joe say pineapple.
You probably bought how much in the previous 2 or 3 years? $50,000 from that particular manufacturer?
Oh, yeah, probably at least that.
Yeah, okay.
So you're made promises through a repping agency, or that's usually your forefront. That's your most immediate connection to the wholesaler.
Yeah.
Not to the actual manufacturer.
Yeah.
It's through this repping agency. And, they tell you, we're going to do training, we're going to do this, hands-on, and, and then you have your direct purchasing location, which would be your wholesaler. That's going to move that product, your distributor.
Distribution.
Right. So you're going to deal with them, and that's your local go-to. So you have your sales rep, and you have your regional manager, and then those people would lean on the repping agency, if you will. So there's a whole stepping process to getting something done, and most times it gets handled and squashed.
What happened to you, though?
We went to the CEO and president of the company and got absolutely nowhere.
So, but you installed the product and something failed?
Miserably.
You couldn't fix the problem.
They could not fix the problem, and they kept blaming us. They kept saying it was piping. They kept saying it was installation, which, again, I understand, like 95% of their issues are field,
those questions.
But we're not those people, we're not that guy. Like, I go to these trainings, I understand how this stuff works, I get the theories, I am the guy that's out there helping other people do this. I understand, I know what the hell I'm doing.
The manufacturers are calling you in to fix their stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and for them to come in and question, it gets, you get a little defensive, and you're like, all right, hey, bring your guy in, get your laptop, come in, you got to do what you got to do. But, on the fifth time, we're done with this situation, and we need this support. We need it replaced. And it just, nope, we're not doing it, and we need more time. We need to have, I was like, look, we already disrupted this guy's family like umpty-ump times. He had no heat. We had pipes freeze. It just goes on and on and on and on.
And the customer is getting frustrated with you.
Oh, frustrated? Like, the customer was on my side. I was fighting with him. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We're not coming back into this guy's house. His kids are upset. There's strange men in here. We had 6 people last time. We've had them coming and going. And you guys were told, if you don't bring a boiler down here to replace the boiler that is not working, don't show up. And you showed up. And guess what? We put another competitor's brand in there. Haven't had a problem since. So, and what I've heard through the grapevine is that they found absolutely nothing wrong with the boiler that we put in. But whatever. My customers' videos don't lie. You know what I mean? So they could say whatever they want to cover their face, but at the end of the day, they handled it horribly. The repping agency handled it horribly. I can't say that the supply house that I bought the product from handled it horribly. They stepped up and they owned it. They took the bullets in that situation for that, and I'm not quite sure why. but they didn't make the manufacturer step up and own it at all.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is your customer understands that no matter what the recourse was behind the scenes, you took ownership and you spent your own money to make your customer
I lost
whole.
my ass on that job.
Right, and that's why they'll continue to call you back.
Exactly.
They do,
Yeah.
to this day. And you know what? Not for nothing, just as good business practice for me as a business owner, I took him and his wife out to dinner on me, and then I also took him, his wife, and his family out to the movies with popcorn, and so we gave them gift cards and whatnot to take them out to make up for.
That's why they're going to come back to you forever.
So not only did I lose thousands of dollars on multiple trips, the installation, the repair, and, across the board, I continued and also probably spent another $800 in gift cards and stuff to just make them
to ease
feel
their
it.
pain and suffering.
Just, there was a lot. There was a lot. And the guy was, very understanding. It was like you couldn't ask for a better customer in that situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I understand his frustration. He was mad, but he was not mad at me.
It's because he
was
knew
not
you were
mad at my
fighting for him.
men.
Yeah.
We were there every single time he called. We were there, all hours of the night. And, we did everything we could do. This goes back to our integrity thing. We stood behind our product. I put it in. I owned it. Even though it didn't have my name on it, it was my product. And I had to own it. And I was fighting that with my manufacturer, my supplier, it didn't go anywhere.
You got to respect that they have their steps and procedures to go through, but there has to come a point not too far.
6.5 months. 6.5 months, and they still refused it.
Yeah,
and it
at
just
what
got
point
to the point
do you
where
say, look, we got to cut our losses here. Let's salvage our reputation, do the right thing.
They didn't care.
The money isn't worth it anymore. The $1,000 or $1,500 would have cost them.
We calculated just my out of pocket was almost $8,000 total laid out for the whole scenario. We calculated roughly with the people that they sent, the trucks to travel, hotels, all of that. The supply house sent their tech people. It was insane. We calculated over $20,000.
Yeah, we're talking
$22,000 roughly is what they spent total in whole.
And we're talking about less than $2,000 worth of equipment.
Even less than that. That's what they sell it for wholesale. At the market
which is
price.
insane.
Which is ridiculous.
So for an $800
So it's penny
boiler,
wise, dollar foolish.
Yeah,
you want to do lab tests? Take it off the build, take it out of the thing, chalk it up, and do the testing in your own building.
too many people involved, nothing getting done, absolutely horrible.
Yeah, that's not the way we roll.
I will never buy that product again. I've made it very, very clear. I'm sure there's people listening now, and they know who I am, and they know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say anything, but never again will I buy that product.
Yeah, but, it's the cost of a mistake like that is almost incalculable.
Well, they don't seem to
spell that.
They don't seem to care. And unfortunately, that's they get blinded as they get bigger, and so you get that mentality of corporate, and you lose the integrity, you lose the connection to what you're really doing. It's not just about making money; it's about keeping customers.
As companies get bigger, it's tougher to keep ties on it.
Sometimes you just got to say, look, just make it go away.
The sheer mathematics alone should have driven you towards that decision.
You got 70 people coming down. You're spending thousands of dollars. You're paying the guy to travel. Yeah. You're paying him from staying in a hotel.
For the one trip with the two guys to travel, stay overnight.
It's insane. Sometimes you got to just say,
you know what?
The
boiler. Do it one time if it doesn't solve the problem.
Not only did he lose you as a customer, or did they lose you as a customer? How many times you told the story down the list?
Okay, so let's look at it this way. Had they done that, Kevin would be still buying that product.
Oh yeah. And a lot of other people
they wouldn't be in the shadows. I would say, you know what, there was a company that stood behind it.
Yeah,
they stepped up.
Exactly.
They solved the issue.
So
my customers happy.
What was the real cost? You're saying $20,000. I think it's a way bigger number than that.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Well, I ultimately ended up moving a $500,000 business into another location.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate these things happen, but again, I think it's in control of the hands of the people running these stores. They need to make everybody look. It's human nature. Everybody wants to be treated right and wants to be felt to be important, and at least somebody treat them as they're such. Not just a guy. There's guys you walk into these places. They hate their jobs. They don't even want to be there. So why would you put them in the first contact position of who they're going to see in the morning?
I was literally at the local hardware store today,
Yeah.
And all I heard was, I'm multitasking, the phone's ringing, I got to ring people up, like, hey, the guy was being super polite, and he was being very nice to the people that were in front of him, like, hey, how you doing? I hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming. But man, I can't believe I got to answer the phones too. I hate when they make me answer the phones.
Imagine I got to work. They're paying me to work.
I'm multitasking. So one of the other employees from like aisle 3 is like, hey, what's the matter? You don't know how to do your job? And he's like, I don't get paid to multitask. And I'm like,
what is it that you get paid?
What the hell is that, man?
Exactly reverse back to what I was saying
now
earlier.
I'm like waiting online. Well, I want to punch this guy in the head. Like, really? You don't get paid? Like, just go home then. Don't get paid at all. How about that? Like,
give your job to somebody else.
Job or shut your mouth. Like, no one on this side of the counter wants to hear your crap.
This applies to all levels of business.
Shut your mouth. Like, no one wants to hear your BS. Look, if you want to talk about that stuff, be a bartender.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where everybody wants to hear your crap. Go sit in a bar.
Go swap your story somewhere else.
Somebody wants to hear your misery because, I don't want to hear how you have to work so hard bringing people up at a cash register. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not taking away from that. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm working just as hard as you are. I don't want to hear it.
That's an absolutely fantastic analogy. A lot of times when counter people become familiar with you, they start becoming you're their bartender.
Yeah.
They're telling you their life problems and stories like, hey, just give me my shit. I need this the hell out of here.
Your water and your sugar.
Come on.
Geez, you got the Tampax, huh?
Come on. Just give me my stuff. Let me go.
Like, shut the hell up.
But, I guess they're human. They want some sort of interaction. I get it. But,
man, or self-importance, but I don't know. But so like that to me, like total turnoff.
Right.
Like I will not, like right now, I probably will avoid that store for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think I
do business with them, but I'm not going to go into that.
I think the other big thing is that if your store is following up, that's a huge thing too.
Well, following through was what we talked about in episode 13. We talked about supply houses, and that's the key to anything. Mm-hmm. That's the key to success. Success as an employee, as an employer, as a business owner,
just showing up.
It's showing up, but
afterwards.
But following through. Yeah. Showing up and then doing what you were asked to do.
Right.
No, a little bit more. But not, you know what I mean? Like, but doing what you were asked to do and doing step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and completing it full to task and maybe 6 if you took the initiative and getting a thumbs up at the end of the day. But if you show up and just expect shit to happen, like, that you're going to cry to me about how horrible your day is at 9 o'clock and you just started on a Monday. Like, it's Monday. It sucks for everybody. I'm sorry your register is giving you a hard time and you just can't handle a phone call and ringing somebody up. Like,
it's exactly why
my phone's ring 5 times. My phone rang 5 times while I'm waiting online for this guy, and I'm letting people in front of me, and I got a business to run, and I'm still being a nice guy, letting the old guy in front of me buy his plaster for $3 when I got guys waiting on a job. Well, and so I don't want to hear your problems. Like, I'm not here to hear your problems. I got my own shit.
No, the most annoying thing is when you're online and they're having a personal conversation while you're waiting to be taken care of.
It was a personal conversation.
No, but I'm saying
it was his misery being spread amongst everybody waiting in the store.
They're talking around you like you're not even there.
Oh, yeah.
That drives me insane.
You should have been online with me today.
But this is exactly the things and reasons why you buy or don't buy from what you do.
I won't go there.
I was in a situation before I came here today. I just went in to buy a light at a
light?
Yeah, a light bulb for my car.
No, a light bulb. And
I stood online. There was a gentleman to my left who I thought was in front of me. He says, nope. You're here first. I says, okay, thank you.
Big balls Billy.
No. But I said to the guy, I says, look, he goes, no, I saw you in the back of the store. I says, yeah, but I was shopping. You were online, so you go. So he went, right? I was the next guy in line. 2 people walk in, and the guy behind the counter recognized them.
Acknowledged them.
She waited, and as he became open, he goes like this, come up here. And he helped her instead of helping me. I was the next guy in line.
Wow.
I don't know why I didn't. I was going to just turn around and walk out.
Sometimes it's not worth.
Right.
But
I ended up taking my product back.
But it's bad. It's bad behavior.
Sure.
And I put it back on the shelf and I left.
All right. Good.
So. And the manager of the store noticed, but she didn't approach me. She didn't come over and talk to me and say, why did you put that back? Why?
Probably would have triggered.
Probably shouldn't have been a manager.
Right. You were too aggressive.
No, I was very kind. I let a guy go in front of me. I don't mind somebody doing that, but don't pretend I'm not standing there. Don't pretend that because you recognize your friend. I would have listen if the guy said the guy said to me, "Look, this is my neighbor. Do you mind if I take care of her first?" I would have said, "Yeah, go ahead."
That's still pretty obnoxious.
It is, but this is what it is. Yeah. This is what. Now I won't go back there. I'll go across the street to their competitor.
We're all guilty of helping out people.
Yeah, but there's a certain level. There's a certain level that you will tolerate.
In the public eye, not a good idea.
Yeah.
No.
Like, if you want to help somebody on the side, be like, Mrs. Johnson doesn't know you're not going to her house because you're going to go to your friends first, and then you say, hey, we're an hour late, no one's ever going to know, and no harm, no foul. But, when you're sitting online and there's people, and you're like, hey, Susie, come on.
Yeah, I had a $46 light bulb that I put on the shelf. I put back and left.
Get your gummy bears. Come on up.
All right. So that pretty much wraps up why you buy from who you buy from.
I don't know if we even talked about that. Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
That was the whole subject.
Yeah.
Why do you listen to the Jerks?
Because we're gooch, baby. We're gooch.
Yeah, we're upper level, baby.
Anyway, thanks again for listening. We hope you catch us on Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff.
Check us out, AHR. We're going to be websiting it. We're YouTubing it.
Yeah, we're going to be live from down there in February.
You guys need an apron, some shoes, some underwear. We got our name all over everything.
Shoes.
Check it out.
Great stuff on there. Buy some stuff. It's all quality stuff.
HVACJerks.com.
Joe got an apron.
Yeah, and I actually paid for it.
Assless Chaps apron. He got it. It was not a bad deal.
We got some good.
All right, this is a good segue to take it on.
Those videos and pictures have not hit the net yet. So.
Definitely had some fun here tonight. Be sure to join us next week when Anonymous Joe teaches a class of prison inmates the proper use and care of a natural loofah.
Oh, natural.
What do you think?
Wow.
Is that class full?
Sold out, I'm sure.
An acknowledgement would give you credit.
Big balls, Billy. Thank you.
Big balls,
All right,
Billy.
Everyone, have a good week. Thanks a lot.
Class.
We're out.
You guys are jerks.
Follow the HVAC Jerks on Facebook and Instagram.